This podcast is brought to you by Sheath underwear. To celebrate the 100 pounds that I lost, 130 now actually, Sheath underwear is sponsoring, and they sent me some of their underwear, which I love. I have the red ones. They look great. They have a 2-pouch compartment. They're supportive and soft, and they make me look great. I'm looking less and less like Santa Claus, but if Santa was a less chubby version and short and didn't really have that much of a beard, this is what Santa would look like. I love the red. They have blue. They have a bunch of great colors. Do me a favor. Go to sheathunderwear.com. That's sheathunderwear.com using promo code Syatt to get 20% off of your first order. Every order comes with the Sheath underwear 100% money-back guarantee, and not only are they a good company, to me, they're a good company to deal with as a customer. They're an American-owned company, and they're a veteran-owned company. The idea for Sheath came from U.S. Army soldier Robert Patton when he was serving his second tour in Iraq. So at the very minimum, it's a good company run by good people, and they've been very nice to me, and I've heard from people that they love the underwear just as much as I do. So go to sheathunderwear.com, use promo code Syatt for 20% off of your first order. Go to Sheath Underwear and let them support your balls. I normally don't like to talk about things that are in the news on podcasts because you never know when people are going to listen. And this is going to come out on October 18th of 2021. So if you're listening on October 18th of 2022, I want you to A, enjoy this, and B, am I taller? Let's hope so. But I decided to talk about something that's sort of in the news today, but I think it will still be relevant in a year or a couple years, is Dave Chappelle's latest special. I don't know when you're listening to this. Who knows? You might have 10 more, and they might be on, who knows, Instagram or the Wendy's app. Who knows who's going to have the next special. But the last special that he put out, the closer on Netflix, came out about, I don't know, a week or two ago, and I haven't had a chance to watch it, and I watched it last night. And the reason why I decided to talk about it today is because it made me think about a lot of things that, frankly, weren't even really in the special. A, if you haven't seen it, the special is great, hysterical. Honestly, I have ever since I started stand-up, which, by the way, I'm pretty much retired. I might have one more show left. But can you retire if you barely got paid? I can. But ever since I started stand-up, I had a real problem with specials because either I would just start writing for them. And not that they asked me to or needed me or even wanted me to write for them. I never sent them my suggestions to anybody. But either I would get inspired by a good special and start like, oh, how would I have taken that premise or something like that? Or I would see the joke coming, get bored, and I can't tell you how many specials I started and stopped over the last few years. But I've really cut down on stand-up, and Chappelle is great. I've seen, I think, all of them. Going back to Killing Him Softly in D.C., I've always enjoyed Chappelle, which is not, I know, taking big risks here. I'm going to upset some people. But over the past week or two since it came out, there's been a lot of stuff in the papers, which, by the way, is for everyone who's even let's just say you're mad at Chappelle, which I don't know how many of my listeners and viewers might be mad at Chappelle for what he said, but let's just say you were. Or even if you're not mad at him, if you're mad at anybody in the public eye, for the most part, unless you killed or did a crime against somebody, or racist. I guess racist could probably be something else. They don't really care. Netflix has loved every second of Chappelle's special being in the news. It's promotion for it. People, I guarantee people watch it just to get mad and to find out what people are mad about. So it honestly doesn't even really matter what they're mad about, which is it makes my point for me. He has a joke. He's had a joke theme in all of his Netflix specials, or a joke about a certain topic that always makes people upset. And he ended his, as of right now, last Netflix special. I'm sure they'll want to hire him for more, and Who knows if he even wants to do more? I'm sure he will. But he ended his last Netflix special with thoughts, really. It wasn't even really, there were some jokes in it, but he was more really just talking, which was really interesting because, like, if you're watching, and this really isn't, I guess it is. I literally watched it last night. Was I high? A little bit. Not edibles, just a little bit of a joint. But what was really interesting for me to watch was about halfway through, he smirked when he said something, but it wasn't anything funny. He knew, just because the way I felt was the way I feel like a lot of people watching it would feel, is he would say something poignant or thoughtful, but you knew something like, not terrible, because here's the thing, at my level of comedy, I would see a lot of people saying outrageous stuff for no reason, and I almost guarantee if you're a stand-up out there, at like my level, still doing open mics, I guarantee you, and I'd love to hear from you, that when Chappelle's special came out, the next couple weeks, still probably right now, there's people telling just out of bounds jokes for no reason. Chappelle has gotten to a point where he can make the audience do whatever he wants, especially his audience. There were moments where he would on purpose put a pause and it would get an applause break. And it was just, I noticed how many more tools he had than I had, which you guys didn't even need to know that. But even a lot of like today's top comics, he's just leaps and bounds ahead of them. If you haven't seen, by the way, him accepting the Mark Twain award, I believe that's also on Netflix now. But if it wasn't, I think that was on PBS. That whole entire hour or whatever it is was fantastic. But in his special, Chappelle addresses people that are angry with him. And he tells stories and he explains his point of view and where he's coming from. And he tells some jokes that if you just wrote them down, I could see people being offended by. I'm not offended by them, but they're not. He has a punchline about Space Jews being a movie. Spoiler. If that's a spoiler, then I'm sorry. It's not even close to his funniest joke. But what made me think about, and what I'm going to talk about very briefly today, I'm not. This is not going to be a very long episode, but after watching Chappelle's special, and granted, I'm biased. I was an amateur stand-up comedian. I'm a professional stand-up comedy fan for 25 something years, probably. Obviously, I lean towards not being offended and being a comedy fan. But after reading the articles about Netflix, their staff are doing a mass walkout, and there's like, think about it. People are dying in Afghanistan. I just saw on the news stuff is going on in Lebanon. And there's more articles right now written about Chappelle's joke than that, honestly. But I would almost bet that either A, the people who were angry and writing the articles at most saw a clip. At most saw a clip. If they saw it at all, which a lot of them probably didn't. A lot of them, because I don't know if you guys know this, it happens all the time. I think I've seen videos about it, and see, I'm even doing it. I was just gonna say, people will write stories based on other stories that exist. I forget where I saw that, but like they don't actually know what's going on, and so I either think they either just saw a clip if they saw it at all, or if they did see it, they went in already angry. Which is, obviously, I'm doing a podcast. I like getting it out there. I'd love the podcast to have huge numbers. a lot of people I know in podcasting want to be Joe Rogan or call her daddy or who knows. Name your favorite podcast. They love it. Bert and Tom. The thing that I've noticed about specifically like Rogan's podcast is people will listen to it to find something to be angry about. And it's not because I try, trust me, I try almost always to never complain about why people are mean online. It's old, it's hacky, it's a boring thing to listen to. What I think is different with this is people are being paid professionally. That is their job, to be angry about something. It's not an amateur. It's not someone wasting their time. They probably get insurance for listening to a Rogan podcast or watching a Chappelle special and being like, what can I be angry about in this? And I think if they had watched the entire special and listened to his words, because if you're going to be angry about something someone says, you can't pick and choose which words you're going to be taking seriously. So if you believe what he's saying as a joke is true, which you shouldn't, you also, I think, it's only fair to look at what he's saying as like not a joke, as just something poignant or a thought he has, and you have to take that at face value too. And to be angry about the joke that he told, to me shows that either they just didn't watch it or listen to it, or if they did, they were just going to be angry. And what it made me think about is one of my biggest faults, and that is me being not even self-conscious. It's just I care way too much. I put everyone else ahead of me in my life to a fault. I don't know, since high school started in 2007, maybe even before that. See, I think part of the reason why my time on the church was strange for me is because it wasn't that I was disliked. I just I didn't have a lot of friends in school. And it was hard for me to make friends. So when all of you people, which I really appreciate, say, oh, you're so funny and oh, we love you with this, it seems like there's a joke being played on me in a way. And I think I told this story on here when I was in day camp. I asked my counselor what I was going to do that day after camp, and he said to have chips and watch TV. And I ran home and I had to do it. And I would copy laughs. One of my friends from high school, he recently passed away. He had a laugh that was unique, and I copied it, I did. I when you're not liked, I don't know, at least to me, I did anything I could to try to be more liked, not popular. I mean, I guess it is kind of the same thing, but I was not jealous. I was like thirsty. I was thirsty. That's a term the kids use these days. I was thirsty for acceptance, and it's been to my detriment. I think it's whether it's work related, family related, relationship related. I hate the idea of anyone being mad at me. So I'll go on a trip somewhere I don't want to go, or I'll go to a restaurant, and it seems like little things, like who cares where you go to eat, fatty? Yeah, that's true. But like it makes me anxious. Like what it does to me is physically is like I'll go through, my dad calls it duty pains. Like my stomach just goes in knots at the idea of anyone not loving me, really. And that's not a good way to be, especially at 33. And that rhymed on accident. And seeing Chappelle, so I'll you know what, fuck it. I'll tell you exactly. So Chappelle had many choices to make. He could have, especially after, because he's addressed the same topic 3 or 4 times in his specials with Netflix, and he could have not put that. He could have written so many jokes about so many different topics, and he probably did. I thought about that as I was watching Chappelle's special. I would have loved to have seen the full set, because he's notorious for going long. I'm sure there's plenty. I'm sure he cut a special out of his special. But he chose to put it in because he really believed in it. So I've taken things out of episodes. Like last week, for some reason, my stupid camera was half focused when I was recording. I just couldn't put that out. And it ended up working out kind of, because I had a thought in last week's episode about something that annoys me with people and masks. And I'm choosing not to go into it because, frankly, I just don't have the energy. Because no matter what way I feel about it, half of you are going to be pissed off. And I don't have the energy. But see, this is what I need to work on. Is Chappelle could have gone that same route and not told that joke and stayed away from it, and people probably would have loved his special the same. And probably even more people would love it. But he made a choice to not give a shit. And I hear that I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, I don't care what people think. Who gives a shit? Who cares?" I would love to know. To me, I think more people are like me, or I would hope, maybe not. I think there are a lot of people like me who, even if they say they don't give a shit, you give a shit. You give 2 shits. You give a big stinking diaper full of shits about what people think about you. Otherwise, Lamborghinis wouldn't exist. I don't know. That's a poor choice. What I'm really trying to work on, and it's not even really mental health related, but it is a little bit. I'm really trying to work on just doing what I feel like is best for me. I might be wrong. I've been wrong many times. I just made a choice that might be very poor for me financially over the next few years. It might not, but I made a choice to do what I think is best for me and my goals and my mental health and my happiness. And it affected somebody else in a way that they don't like. But it's not that it doesn't matter, because what also I was thinking about within this is I definitely think there are a lot of people like me who worry a lot about what other people think and how their actions are going to affect. And it's not everything. I'm not saying I care all the time. I can be very selfish. I don't always take my cart back. I'll do stuff like that. Like I'll be very selfish. I cut people off. I lie for my benefit, of course. But when it comes to important things, like big things, I do try to be very, and it's not even like a choice, honestly. It's not like I'm trying to be a good person and be like, oh, let's care about what this other person thinks. I wish I could turn it off, frankly, because the other side of that coin are the people who legitimately don't care about other people and how what they do affects them. Anytime you fly, anytime you go anywhere, anytime you have a job and that job fires you and but if you had quit 3 days before, you would have been letting them down. I was just on a plane and some adult man was kicking my seat the entire time and like flicking the window shade. It's very minor. It doesn't really affect my life. But I think there are a lot of people out there who just don't give a shit at all. And I'm not going to say karma isn't real, because I think partially it is. But a realization I had is, let's just say I make everyone happy, right? Even if it isn't to my detriment. Let's just say I can make myself, and I can do things the perfect way that no one gets upset at me, no one's angry, and it's just that. I can do things the perfect way. My life isn't necessarily going to go better because of that. Me making everybody happy isn't going to help me win the lottery or get a job. I think about it that way. Everything and this is not a good reason to be nice for people. But when I do nice things for people, like let's say I open a door for someone, or bring my cart back, or get someone a gift, or who knows, help an old lady with her bag on the airplane, a little part of me, and I'm ashamed to admit it, will look at myself and be like, okay, or will think to myself, and I'm not even a religious person, but I will still say, like, come on, God, you can see that I'm trying to be nice here. Help me out. And good things do happen to me, but it's not magical. It's not like, okay, the next day I get a call that I won the lottery, I have a brand new job, and I have who knows, $1 million and a team of women who want to give me blowjobs. I don't know. I'm trying to think of good things. A blowjob sucking team. That'd be kind of cool. I have a girlfriend. She's not gonna like that. But I'm not cheating on you. And I'm gonna get in trouble for that. But I also think on the other side of that, people who are mean or don't care about it, I don't necessarily think their lives are worse. I think it can be. I think if you're an asshole, hopefully karma catches up with you. But there's plenty of assholes who live their entire lives and nothing happens. I'm not telling anyone to be an asshole, and I don't want to be an asshole. But my thought process, even like the last few weeks, and it was just confirmed with Chappelle's special last night, which you should go see. It's called The Closer on Netflix. Is I'm going to do everything that I can to be as healthily self-centered as possible. I want to be self-centered, but in a positive way, because I just haven't been my whole life. And like I said, there's been times where I've been an asshole, where I have been self-centered, where I don't care about others. I don't love it, but it's just true. It would be disingenuous for me to say, "Oh no, I'm a perfect person. I always help babies and take cats out of trees." No, I've been a dick a lot, I'm sure. But I've also wasted a lot of my life doing things or caring about things that really have no impact, because either the person is gone, the job would have been bad, the relationship would have stunk. And I hope if there's anyone out there who's listening who's like me, a nervous little Jew, you don't have to be Jewish. It would help. I think we are more prone to nervousness. Yeah, that's a word. I was going to say nerviosity, but that's not a word. that you can overcome it. And I'm not telling you to be an asshole. Please don't be an asshole. The world needs less assholes. But the world also needs people to stand up for themselves. And even if you end up being wrong, and even if I end up being wrong, and I make some decisions that I feel like at the moment are best for me, that at least I'm doing it for me, and I'm doing something that the way I really want to do it, because life's too short to do things the way other people want, because it's a boring way to live life. It's gonna give you duty pains, and it's not gonna be positive. So that was my thought today, all inspired by Chappelle's special and about a joint and a half. And I love you. I love you. Thank you for watching and listening. I have a What Was I Thinking podcast every week. I also do a Waistline podcast every week. So please watch and listen to that. And I will see you next week on What Was I Thinking. Thank you very much to Sheath Underwear for sponsoring What Was I Thinking. Don't forget, go to sheathunderwear.com. Use promo code Syatt to get 20% off of your first order. That's sheathunderwear.com using promo code Syatt, SYATT, to get 20% off of your first order.